At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from downtown Chicago. We are on the air until 3 Eastern today. And it's a Friday. All calls welcome Friday with Bleck and Abdalla. The call or text line is at 310-840-4910. Lots to get to today. Last night in the Sweet 16 on the men's side for the NCAA tournament, Abdalla, we see Arizona win. We see Purdue win. Illinois and Iowa advance. And we have 4 more games tonight in the Sweet 16. Some big dogs playing tonight, especially in the East region. So we'll preview all of that today here on the show. Most notably, the takeaway that I have from watching last night's games is that Arizona might be the best team in college basketball. Like we were previewing the game yesterday, Arkansas and Arizona, and the fact that Arizona essentially, it was non-competitive from the 18th minute on?
No, dude,
in
from
the
the
first
jump.
half?
From the jump.
Yeah, Acuff had a bucket or two early that kept it close.
You're being nice.
And what was very obvious was that it turned into 1 against 5 very quickly.
Yeah.
And Arizona's strength down low and their ability to crash the glass offensively, a couple of putback dunks, a couple of good post play buckets for the Wildcats, and they were off and running. And I feel very good about our selection that we both selected Arizona to win the tournament. And so far to this point, I think Zona has been the best team in what we've seen so far in the NCAA tournament.
Well, credit where credit is due, right? It's you and I, and it is Laura, who is usually here. We've got Shay in today. Laura is usually one of our producers here on the show.
Yeah.
And she is the one that convinced us to go with Arizona over Houston, thankfully. Because Houston losing to Illinois last night, Illinois just pouring it on late and really pulling away and kind of getting into a muddy game with Houston, talking about it with different analysts. And we talked to PJ Carlissimo yesterday with it, which kind of team would show up. Would this be an Illinois game or a Houston game? And it turned out to be a Houston game where it was slow and defensive and really ugly for a while. And at half, it was 24-22 Illinois. And that just kind of let you know how this game was going to go. And then Illinois just turned it on in the second half and really pulled away. And they end up winning 65-55, eliminating one of our national championship competitors. And now Arizona, like you mentioned, just pouring it on Arkansas, handing Coach John Calipari, his worst loss in the NCAA tournament in his career. And you're right. They just look like, I know Duke is the number 1 overall seed, but right now they have yet to play. I mean, they could put on a great performance against St. John and we could come in on Monday and be like, wow, Duke's a different animal, But right now, as we're sitting here on Friday, Arizona looks like the best team in the country. And lucky for us, Laura convinced us to put Arizona in. Shout out to Laura. But yeah, you're right. I mean, look, Acuff put on a great show, 28 points, but right now, Arizona, you're right, the best team in the country going into the rest of the tournament right now.
Did I hear the stat right that Acuff in his 3 tournament games, the amount of points that he scored, that there's only one person to that point through a tournament who scored more points, and that was Steph Curry. Steph Curry scored 100 points combined in the first 3 games of a tournament, and Acuff had, 88 or something like that, or something close to that. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like Arkansas was overmatched from the jump. And when we look at the other games, Texas Purdue was a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it at length here on the show about can you call a team with one of the largest athletic departments with more money than anyone else in the country? Can you call that team a Cinderella? I don't think so. And Texas had a chance. And I thought they were going to win that game. And then the putback right at the end for Purdue sends them on to the Elite Eight. Mm-hmm. And how about the Big Ten? Getting Illinois, Purdue, and Iowa all to the Elite Eight for the Saturday matchups. You will get at least one of those teams to advance to the Final Four because Illinois and Iowa face off against each other. Tonight, Michigan State has a chance to advance. Mm-hmm. We still have Michigan out there as well with a chance to advance. from the Big Ten. So you have the Big Ten just reigning supreme on the NCAA tournament so far to this point. And Michigan's out there, right, as a number 1 seed who has a great chance to get to the Final Four. Michigan State, we'll see how that goes tonight against UConn. I do think we have to take a moment to acknowledge that the Big Ten has had a great tournament.
I mean, there is an opportunity to get an all Big Ten Final Four. Like, there is the opportunity. If Purdue beats Arizona, if Michigan gets through, if Michigan State gets through, if either Iowa or Illinois, obviously one of them is going to get through. So you do have the opportunity to get an all Big Ten. And it was Jordan Cornette who joined us last week and said, this is going to be the year of the Big Ten, that this is going to be the year. And you say Cinderella, Texas. I think Iowa has solidified themselves as, I think we need to redefine Cinderella. Cinderella is no longer your High Points and your Florida Gulf Coasts and your Northern Iowa. Cinderella is from the Midwest and she's corn-fed. Okay, she is Iowa and she is now a higher seed. She's a lower seed. She's an 11 seed. She's a 10 seed. She's a 9 seed. That's what just Cinderella is now, because you're not going to get these teams to move on. And it makes for better basketball. Like, if you would have seen any of those teams, any of those higher seeds in yesterday's games, they would have gotten crushed. They would have absolutely got, and I understand that Arkansas got crushed yesterday.
There were a few blowouts last night.
There were. But it would have been blowouts across the board unless you would have had these other teams in there. And I talked about it with you going into this game. The winner of Iowa-Nebraska was going to be the team that, unless you're a fan of another team or you went to the school of another team, that America kind of rallies behind. And I think you're seeing that with Iowa. Iowa beat Florida. They took down a number 1 team. They had a great game and had to come from behind. And Nebraska was leading for most of that game. And they have that boneheaded play where Fred Hoiberg had 4 guys on the floor at one point.
What were they doing?
No idea. And he took the blame for it, and he's, a good coach does that at the end of games and doesn't put it on the players and all that good stuff. And now Iowa, as a 9 seed, has a chance to face Illinois and get to the Final Four. And I think that is what you're looking at as your new type of Cinderella.
Okay, so it's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. If you want to join the show, you can call us or text us at 310-840-4910. I'm listening to what you're saying.
Thank you.
I think you're stretching.
For once. Oh, whoa.
I think you're trying to fit something in just to have it fit.
But look at this is how it's going to be, man.
No, and that may be fine. But that doesn't mean that you need to find someone else, put on the glasses and squint your eyes and get your 6 into becoming an 8 or a 9. It's late at the bar. Just because you got the beer goggles on doesn't mean
the lights turn on at some point, man.
She ain't changing.
Someone's got to wear the slippers.
6 still a 6. A 4 is still a 4. That's why she's still there when the lights turn on. All I'm saying, Abdalla, is I feel like you're trying to stretch something into something it's not. If you are a part of the Big Ten, you are not a Cinderella. That's not it. Cinderellas are mid-majors that go on these deep runs, and it's okay if it's dead. You don't have to push and shove and try and get every team to fit up just so you can have a Cinderella to talk about.
I just think that we need to redefine.
They might be. No, there is no.
There's a
Cinderella is a Cinderella.
No.
You don't have to redefine it just so you could fit someone into being a Cinderella.
I'm now with NIL and the way that
Can you redefine a 4?
Yeah. Well,
oh, yeah? What is this, like She's All That and Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah, you take the glasses off, man.
Pull the hair down and all of a sudden she's a 10?
Straighten her hair, take the glasses off.
Okay. I just think you're trying to stretch something into something it's not.
That's what they've got filler for. That's what they've got collagen for. That's what they've got you suck the fat out of the cheeks, all that stuff. Yeah. They've got all that stuff.
The old Tom Brady?
Yeah. I see the glow up. I've watched Traders. I know what What's Her Face looks like now.
What about what all the stupid kids are doing where they're hitting their faces with hammers?
Oh, like what's his name? What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name? Clavicular. Clavicular.
Right?
Clavicular.
No, I know.
And he smashes his face with a hammer. I think that should be.
Idiot.
That should be your next thing.
My next thing?
I think you should come in with
I think I'm good on that.
with a hammered jaw.
Hammered jaw. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think that we're gonna get into baseball season here. We're gonna get into June, and that should be your June swoon.
My project?
Yeah, your project should be for the summer.
Trying to look smacks?
Yeah, looks max
for the
and
summer?
trying to mog people. Is that what they call it? I don't know.
I have no idea. We're too old for this.
Yeah.
Drake might know. He'll talk about it in the morning. I don't know.
Don't do
6 to 9.
Don't do that.
Like, we'll address it. He was talking about us today. We'll address it.
Don't do
on
it.
the program.
Don't do it.
Maybe he knows how to look max. I don't know.
Don't do it.
We're too old for that.
Don't do
We're
it.
old men. We're old elder millennials in our early 40s. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One. Exactly.
Looks max at anything.
Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. I just think that you can't stretch something into what it's not. It's okay if there's not a Cinderella of the tournament. It's okay. You don't have to force feed us that there's a team that's a Cinderella if it doesn't exist.
Is there a difference then between what we define as a Cinderella and then America's rallying team? Because I think that that's what Iowa's going to be now.
Well, yeah, I mean, they certainly are the darling of the tournament. Like it's a fun story. It's cool. You don't usually see the Hawkeyes get to the Elite Eight. You don't see a team like that, traditionally a football school, playing this well. Like that's cool. Like I have no problem with that, and I think people will support it. And people, unless you're from Illinois, you'll want to see Iowa get to the Final Four because they've never been there.
Like, let's say, obviously this is, they get rid of Fran McCaffrey as their coach. They move on this far in the tournament. Not surprising. You get to this weekend. If they beat Illinois and they get to the Final Four and they face off with either UConn or Duke or St. John's. There's a lot of people that like Michigan State. I don't think Michigan State is one of these teams that you can qualify as a hated team. I think people like Michigan State.
Yeah.
I don't think Izzo's a hated figure.
Yeah, that
a lot of people don't like Pitino.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate Duke. And a lot of people don't like Dan Hurley for UConn. Any of those three teams get through the East, and I think that Iowa becomes the rallying cry for America to say, get this team to a national championship.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. You can listen to the action tonight on the Westwood One Sports app. 7:10 Eastern, number 5 seeded St. John's takes on Duke in the East region, the number 1 seed. Alabama, Michigan will be at 7:35 Eastern tonight in the Midwest region. Michigan State and UConn, 9:45 out of the East region. And then Tennessee and Iowa State, that is a 10:10 Eastern time tip out in the Midwest region. So those are the 4 games that we have today in the NCAA tournament. And you can hear the full coverage right here on the Westwood One Sports app. So make sure you download that today. I saw this article the other day. This is from The Athletic. Here's the headline. Is hating Duke basketball falling out of style? And so it talks a lot about the fact that John Shire is very likable and the team itself pretty likable. I saw this article and I started to read through it, and my initial reaction was absolutely not. I think Duke is still one of the number 1 hated teams in the country. When it comes to college basketball, when it comes to sports in general, when you talk about the teams that people dislike, Duke is always at the top of the list. And it's why here on the Bleck Abdalla Show, we make fun of Coach K and Duke. And I'm Duke, and I have my office still. And John, you're coaching the team, and what's your major? But I still rule Duke.
What is your major?
It's fun. No one likes Duke unless you are a Dookie. We get it.
Yeah.
But you also get it.
Yes.
You understand that the rest of the country probably hates you.
Yes.
And there's a few teams like that around the country where it's like everyone kind of rallies together to dislike. The Yankees in baseball.
Yeah.
It's like, full disclosure, Bleck and Abdalla, we're based out of Chicago. We both grew up as White Sox fans. We're not Cubs haters, but we grew up White Sox fans. There is a saying within the White Sox fan base, you have your rivals, the Twins, the Guardians, the Royals, right? The Tigers. but you call them the hated New York Yankees. My entire life, I've called them the hated New York Yankees when they face off against my favorite team. And that's just what it is. And I think Yankee fans understand that. I would hope so, that they would understand that everyone dislikes them. It's not a bad thing. And I think that there are a few teams around sports. Is there a team that you just absolutely hate?
Well, okay. So to play, I hate Duke. I agree with you. But you and I are also 40, and there's a new generation of fans that don't have the same animosity that we do because we didn't, like, Duke was different. Okay. There's obviously Coach K. There was always a player on Duke.
JJ Redick.
Grayson Allen. Who's the dude that got, I can't remember. I've been trying to think of his name for 2 days now, and I don't want to look it up because I'm one of those people that I don't want to look. Who's the guy that got poked in the eye that can't play anymore?
What? Poked in the eye, can't play anymore.
Or did he not play for Duke? Why can't I think of his name? I'll think of it later.
Okay.
Anyway, but it started to turn.
Can't play anymore.
It started to turn.
Was he in the NBA?
Yeah, for a little bit. I'll think of it, or someone will text in or something. It started to turn, obviously, when John Shire took over, right? John Shire took over.
Are you talking about Miles Plumlee?
No, I'm not talking about Miles Plumlee.
I mean, I Googled what you said. Poked in the eye, can't play anymore. Is it John Shire?
It might be John Shire, actually. Yeah, it might be Shire. And so when Shire took over, and then you've got Coach K out, they obviously become more likable. Shire is very likable, right? He's not Coach K, but Coach K was there for a little bit, and now
I'm Duke.
He's moved up a couple rows.
It's my court.
Zion Williamson is very likable.
Yeah, Zion was likable at Duke. I'll give you that. I think Jay Williams was likable at Duke.
Okay.
I think some people find him annoying now, but he was likable at Duke.
Is Cam Boozer likable?
Yeah. I think he
Cam
is.
Boozer likable. Was Cooper Flagg likable?
But,
my point is that there's no.
But like back in the day, Shane Battier was likable.
But my point is that
Grant Hill was likable.
There's no guy. There was a whole 30 for 30 on.
Yeah, Christian Laettner.
But on other players that were hated at Duke, and why the hated Duke player was a thing. And so
to me, it always came back to the floor slapping.
But we don't have that anymore.
I found that to be
Duke.
very annoying and obnoxious.
We don't have that anymore with Duke. So because of that, none of these guys exist anymore. And so I don't think that the newer generation of college basketball fan has that with Duke, because you don't have Shire, who's outspoken about college basketball issues. I mean, that's Tom Izzo now, who comes in and says America's soft and college basketball's soft and all that kind of stuff.
I kind of like it.
Well, okay.
I kind of like what
Guess
Izzo's
what, buddy?
saying.
You're old. You're
That's
washed.
True. Yeah, well, sometimes you got to work for something, you know?
Okay. So we don't have that. You don't have guys like JJ Redick and Grayson Allen tripping people left and right, okay? Everybody showed up, and all these celebrities and presidents and kind of stuff showed up to watch Zion Williamson play. So you don't have that with there's no one to hate on Duke anymore. I understand it. I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. I would say it's a lot like in college football, how most people dislike Notre Dame, right? Unless you are an ND fan, most people don't like Notre Dame. And I think Duke is on par with that when you look at college basketball. So text us, 310-840-4910. Which team do you just hate? Which team in sports can you just not stand? And I'm not talking about your arch rival of your favorite team, right? As a Bears fan, I hate the Packers. But I get it. Not everyone hates the Packers. In fact, the Packers have a pretty large fan base around the country. So I'm talking a team that we collectively root against. And I think Duke is at the top of that list. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Did Tom Brady try and come out of retirement? We'll tell you about that story coming up next. DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. The tournament is unexpected. Rewards are guaranteed.
DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards in the market with DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. You're not betting what might happen. You're betting on what's happening.
New to DraftKings, just bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code B&A for Bleck and Abdalla. That's code B&A to get $5 and $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bonus bets are non-cash credits that apply 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer ends April 5th, 2026.
Can number 5 seed St. John's stop the buzzsaw that is Duke basketball? Listen on the Westwood One Sports app. Tonight, 7:10 Eastern, followed by the remaining Sweet 16 matchups from your home of the NCAA tournament. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Did Tom Brady try to come out of retirement? We'll talk about that story in just a moment here on Westwood One Sports. You can text or call the show on 310-840-4910. We're talking about the most hated teams in sports. We saw an article from The Athletic saying that, hey, Duke's likable now. No one hates Duke. People still hate Duke. Dude. I can't stand Duke. This is a text from the 209. This is from Chad in California. So shout out Chad. He writes this on the text line at 310-840-4910. I hate Duke and Notre Dame for no particular reason. And thanks to you guys, I can't hear the word Duke without saying to myself, I'm Duke.
I'm Duke.
So how about that? Shout out to Chad in California listening to the show. And you can always text us at 310-840-4910. So we'll continue with that throughout the show. I think Notre Dame's on the list. I think Duke is on that list.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees in baseball are likely on that list for most people. The NFL is weird. I think it's the Cowboys, but specifically as of late, it's the Cowboys because of the way that they're covered in the media.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like more people hate Stephen A. and people talking about the Cowboys than really the Cowboys at this point because they haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years.
I think it's the Chiefs, too. I think the people dislike the Chiefs just because of the Taylor Swift stuff.
It's fresh.
And yeah. I do think in the NBA, it's tough. It's easy to say the Lakers because they're the Lakers. And
They've won a lot.
But I do think that in this era, I think that because he's moved around a lot, you can just say LeBron.
Yeah, I agree.
Because whether it's the Heat, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's the Lakers, you can just say LeBron, and wherever he goes, people don't like him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And if he would have stayed in one place, you could say that team.
Exactly.
But because he's bouncing all over the place.
Yeah. You have to just say wherever he goes.
Wherever LeBron roams.
Wherever he roams, and now it's the Lakers, so people dislike the Lakers.
So keep the text coming at 310-840-4910. Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. This is Tom Brady on CNBC talking about a possible attempt to unretire and play in the National Football League.
I'm not going to ask you if you're preparing a comeback. I'm not going to go down that road. All I'm going to ask you is if you have looked into the NFL rules of a minority owner temporarily coming back, say, week 14 or something like. Have you at least inquired if that's allowed?
Funny enough, you ask. I actually have inquired, and they don't like that idea very much. So I'm going to leave it at that. We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that, too. So I loved being out there playing in the flag game. I love not getting hit. I've got a lot of really fun things I'm involved in, and it's never going to be old, and get old throwing passes to incredible athletes on the football field. But if anything, that game reconfirmed to me that I'm very happy in my retirement.
So that was Tom Brady on CNBC. Now, when he looked into it, would that have been for the team that he is a partial owner of? Or was this in regards to the Colts' situation last year, trying to call anyone who used to play quarterback to unretire to come play for the Colts? What do you think this, why would Brady look into this and reach out to the league to find out whether or not he could actually try this?
Well, okay, I think there's two things here. I think that if the owners had a problem with it, I think it would have had to have been for a team that was in the mix, right? So like maybe the Colts. Maybe that would have been a situation where Tom Brady would have said, oh, Daniel Jones is hurt. Maybe I can come in and they can, get by with me for the rest of the season. And that team has a chance to go to a Super Bowl and I could get another ring out of it. Because the Raiders are so bad that I feel like the owners would have been like, you want to play? Okay, go ahead. Play behind that offensive line and see how you like it. See how you like playing behind the worst offensive line in the NFL and see what that does. Because realistically, the only team Tom Brady could play for is the one that he is a partial owner of. You can't let the owner of a team play for another team. I'm upset that he's allowed to broadcast games for a network.
What if his reaching out to the NFL was seeing what it would take to leave as a part owner with the team to then try and play with the hope of taking back his stake of partial owner? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Brady. And listening to everything that he does and is a part of, it sounds like he's the type of person, which he has the ability to be this.
Yeah.
He has because he's won and he is so rich and he's so famous that he doesn't look at anything as like a road stop. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Like everything that's a possibility is like, oh, why can't I do that? Can I do that? Can I just not be an owner for like 6 months and then I'll be a partial owner once I'm done playing?
Yeah.
And the league was like, no, that's not how that works.
Well, I think that if he wanted to sell, they would be like, yeah, just sell and then come back. Like, why not?
Yeah.
But it's a long process. It wouldn't just happen overnight. They couldn't just be like.
That's my point. Is like, I wonder if he thought like, hey, what if tomorrow I'm just not the owner?
Here's my shares.
Yeah, here shares. And then, but next Tuesday after the game, I'm going to be back as owner.
What he would do is sell his shares for like $1 to someone and then have an agreement where he would get those shares back for like $1 again. You know what I mean? Like something shady like that.
I feel like I saw that somewhere recently.
Interesting.
But yeah, so that's the story. I mean, Tom Brady, he's also a master at speaking and saying things without really saying anything. You know, like Tom Brady is so good at when he doesn't want to answer a question, he talks around the question. And that's not a critique on Tom Brady when talking football, because Brady talking football is excellent. He's really turned into a great broadcaster. So it's been fantastic to see him on TV and to develop over the last year or so, because when it started, it was a little shaky. But we've seen quarterbacks pop early as broadcasters and then fall off a cliff like Tony Romo, which is just absolutely horrendous to listen to now.
Which is why if I'm a majority owner of the Raiders or another partial owner of the Raiders, like he's putting all this time and effort into other things, right? He's got this card shop that he's got this like football thing that he's got.
Not running the card shop.
Dude, he's been around them.
My
point is this. Okay.
Someone else is running that business.
My point is this. He's not with the Raiders. If he put the time and the effort into running the Raiders and being a part of the Raiders, as much time as he did gallivanting about, signing cards and playing flag football, they could be a well-run organization. If he put the time and effort into after they select Fernando Mendoza. And maybe he might. I don't know what he's going to do after they select Fernando Mendoza. Maybe his plan is after they select him, because obviously he can't do anything with Fernando Mendoza right now. They haven't selected him. He's not a Raider yet. Maybe his plan is after they select Fernando Mendoza to show up at the facility when they're allowed to at training camp and work with Fernando Mendoza to make him into a good quarterback. And that's the plan. But if he put in the time, I think that the Raiders could be a decent organization. The problem is Tom Brady's involved in like 30 different things.
And that's what led me to suggest that, like, he probably just had the thought and was like, let me ask.
Yeah.
Because I can do anything.
Sure.
I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I've got yachts. I've got private jets. I've got teams. I've got all this stuff. I've got a card shop. Could you imagine if Tom Brady was actually running his own card shop? You know, like you open the door and the bell goes off on the door because, like, you know, it's like an old school card shop, right? And you walk in and there's a guy sitting in the corner. And he's got little glasses on the end of his nose, and he's sitting there looking through cards. And you look up, it's Tom Brady. You're like, hey, Tom, can I get a fresh pack? Can I rip a fresh pack with you?
He's the guy from The Simpsons. He's the comic book guy from The Simpsons.
I mean, it's true. Like, it's funny to think about that. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. The North Carolina head coaching job is still open. They'll be searching for a new head coach. There are no new rumors of anyone that's landed this job yet or anyone that's going to land the job. I think there's a couple names. One particular that won last night with Arizona, Tommy Lloyd. That's going to be in the conversation, and some other names, maybe a couple coaching this evening in the Sweet 16. Kenny Smith has one piece of criteria, you know, former Tar Heel. He was on the college basketball coverage on CBS. His one piece of criteria that the next head coach at UNC needs to have. We'll tell you about that coming up next.
Happy MLB opening week. A fresh scorebook, a brand new season, infinite possibilities. Your team's alive. Your dream is real. Baseball's back, and we're all better for it. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
We're talking about the North Carolina head coaching job, who could be available for the Tar Heels to go after. Earlier in the week, we talked about the possibility of Billy Donovan, how that could make a lot of sense. You know, from Billy Donovan's standpoint, he also, for North Carolina, it would make a lot of sense because he's won 2 national titles at Florida in the past. He's had a lot of success in the NBA. He's in a situation with a team and a franchise that's not trying. And if Billy Donovan wants to win at some point, he's going to have to leave the Chicago Bulls. It's not going to happen in Chicago. We're broadcasting from Chicago. We're realists. We know the situation, and we understand that the ownership level of the team, they are content with the fact that people show up to the United Center to just watch mediocre basketball. And that's what it is. So Billy Donovan should leave. Kenny Smith was on CBS covering the college basketball and the tournament, and he had a specific requirement for who he thinks should be the next head coach at UNC. He wants that guy to retire as a Tar Heel. That's his requirement. He wants the next coach to be there for quite some time. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. It's now time for Fries with the Guys, brought to you by Five Guys. Nervous about your tournament picks? Don't sweat it. Five Guys has consolation fries no matter the outcome. Hand-cut, perfectly salted. They're always there to make you feel like a winner. So, Fries with the Guys in honor of Five Guys here on a Friday. Kenny Smith thinks the next head coach at UNC should be there until they retire.
Did you bring me any fries?
I threw extra in the bag.
Did you bring me any, though?
In the bag.
You ate them
No,
all,
we're
though.
going after the show.
Okay, after the show.
There's a Five Guys on Michigan Avenue. We're
I know,
going
it's
to
right
stop
across
by.
the street. I know.
We're going to stop by on our way home.
It's right across the street.
It's going to be fantastic.
I look, Kelvin Sampson talked about it yesterday. He was also did the Bill Self vague about his future. He wasn't like, I understand everybody has their time. I'm not going to stand anybody. I don't think anybody is coming for Kelvin Sampson's job, though.
No. I think he has loosely been rumored for this North Carolina job. That's why it comes up.
But he also said, like, he's also 70. So, Billy Donovan is 60. So if Billy Donovan took this job and had success, I could see this being Billy Donovan's final job, right? He's there for 10 to 15 years, 70 to 75, and that's kind of it for Billy Donovan. And, he obviously had success at Florida. He didn't have success with the Bulls. The Bulls gave up like 50 some odd points in a quarter the other night. Like Billy Donovan
think they gave up like 157 total.
I know. Like the dude's looking for houses, man. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? You can't be happy. Like, I'm not one to judge someone's happiness, but you can't tell me that you're happy doing this. Like, you might have all the job security in the world, but you can't tell me that as a competitor, as someone who won at the highest level in college basketball, this is sufficient for you. Well, this is fulfilling.
And it is fair to look at some of the other options here in the tournament, right? Like Tommy Lloyd has been rumored.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense. I would also throw out there, and I get North Carolina is a more prestigious job than Arizona. But I would argue that Arizona could equally be as good for the duration of Tommy Lloyd's career as a coach as he could be successful at North Carolina. I get it. Money talks in these situations.
Yeah.
And North Carolina, if they want to pay for a guy like that, then yeah, that's why you're going to see the jump. We see this in college football all of the time.
Look,
we see coaches that are in good spots, Lane Kiffin, who then jump to other spots because they have deeper pockets, because they're going to spend more money on the coach, even though it's not necessarily the right fit. Like,
I'm going to throw your words right back in your face. You can win anywhere now. You can win anywhere with NIL.
To an extent, yeah.
But Arizona's NIL for basketball should be the same as North Carolina. Like, Arizona's not a football school.
No.
Like, what are you doing?
No.
Put some money into your college basketball program. Like, if you want Tommy Lloyd to stay, and they pretty much made it known yesterday that they want him to stay, pony up the money. If Alabama wants Nate Oates to stay, and he said it yesterday, like he's not looking to go anywhere, okay, give him a contract extension, and if you want him to stay. All these coaches now, and again, for Billy Donovan specifically, even if he doesn't get the North Carolina job, and let's say Tommy Lloyd does, and Arizona's open, go take the Arizona job. Take any.
No.
You just said it's a good.
Billy
you just said it's a good program. No, you just said it is. You just said it is.
Yeah, but
you just said you can win anywhere. You just said it's a good program, dude. The Bulls are
for
horrible.
A college coach.
The Bulls are horrible, man. The Bulls are horrible.
I'm saying, I also laid this out there on the show earlier in the week. NBA coaches should not be going to college.
What's better?
The NBA is better than college basketball.
What's better? Eighth in the East or a Final Four? What's better?
Again, I already laid it out to you. The Bulls are not serious.
Okay.
So if he wants to win,
that's my point.
He should leave.
That's my point.
But he shouldn't just leave the NBA for any job.
Arizona's not just any job.
Yeah. It's not North Carolina.
Florida's not just any job.
Not North Carolina.
UConn's not just any job.
Again,
I'm naming jobs.
Again, not North Carolina.
I understand that, but I'm naming teams that are going to go to the Final Four here.
If you said, what are the 3 best basketball schools for college basketball in the last 40 years, there are 4 schools that jump to mind. The 4 would be North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And then, there's a level slightly below where Michigan State's right there. Yeah. Florida as of late, right? Yep. Like Florida has been in the conversation.
Well, Florida for him would be different. Going
UConn,
back
right?
to Florida, I think for him would be different.
Connecticut isn't quite what Kentucky or Kansas or North Carolina or Duke have been. So we'll keep our eyes on the situation, and that's what Kenny Smith thinks, is that whoever takes that job should have that job for life until they retire. You can join the show at 310-840-4910. It's Fries with the Guys on a Friday, brought to you by our great friends at Five Guys. If you're nervous about your tournament picks, don't sweat it. Five Guys has consolation fries no matter the outcome. Hand cut and perfectly salted, and they'll always make you feel like a winner. And you know how it goes. You go to Five Guys, you get your burger, you get your fries, and there's more fries on top of the fries in the bag.
I need some extra fries. Yeah, I need some extra fries after Houston lost yesterday.
They're the best.
I need some extra fries today.
Consolation fries.
Yeah, I need that today.
From Five Guys.
I might need it for Alabama later, too, as they face Michigan tonight.
I was listening to our fantastic radio network earlier this morning.
Oh, where are you?
Drake Toll hosts in the morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, right here on Westwood One Sports.
Does he?
And Drake was talking about the good old Bleck and Abdalla show. Let's take a listen.
I'm tired of it. I'm done. I'm sick of it. I can't keep doing this anymore. What's crazy, it'd be different if I was listening. It'd be different if I was in the room. It'd be different if it was to my face, but it's behind my back. The Westwood One Sports Night, jabrones. I don't even know who it was. I don't even care. It was Josh Orlanell. I don't care. They thought that I didn't know Linger by the Cranberries. Well, you know what? I played Linger by the Cranberries on this very program like 2 weeks ago as a rejoin. I do know. They're like, oh, Addie knows it. That's what I'm hearing. I'm being told that that's what happened. Oh, Addie knows it, but not Drake. I do. No, like, and you have to, and she's dead. So you're going to come after me, saying that I don't know the Cranberries after the lead singer dies? Insensitive, obviously. Then Bleck and Abdalla, again, rumor, keep hearing this. They come after me, and they say, oh, I bet he doesn't know Seinfeld. Well, buckle up. No soup for you. I've watched more Seinfeld than their cumulative lives combined, and their existence on this earth combined. Bleck, Abdalla, whatever your first names are. So take that. I know what Seinfeld is. I'm 25 years old, but I had a TV in Arkansas, not until we were 17. But I mean, I made the most of it. I used it. The antenna worked.
I do
Maybe
love that the channel thinks that you're like this young ditz. That's hilarious.
Collectively.
It's amazing. I haven't even
Westwood One Sports is like Drake told.
When someone attacks our family, I want to know where Chris Bleck is. I want to know where Adam Bleck is, whichever name fits the other one. I want to know where Adam Bleck is, and I want to know this is about toughness.
Guys, and as Drake's producer, in Drake's defense, even though he didn't know Steely Dan, Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding, didn't know Young MC, Jeff Buckley, that doesn't mean he's not cultured, guys.
I know all of those artists. I didn't know the specific songs in the moment.
Even though he doesn't know their biggest hits, guys, that doesn't mean that he doesn't know things.
Well, I had one bad half in the last 2 years. I had one bad half. They're going to keep holding it against us. This show's about toughness. You know what? I trust this show. I trust these people. This is my crew. So, Bleck, Abdalla, come after me. I'm a man.
Toughness, that's it. So that was Drake Toll this morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, each and every day, right here on Westwood One Sports. I feel like an element of this is that he didn't hear what we said about him yesterday.
All we said was that he was young.
Well, and we suggested that if he has yet to see Seinfeld, that he should watch all the episodes and give us reviews.
That's it.
Of episodes on the first watch. But if he's seen it,
it wasn't
okay.
It wasn't a knock on him. We weren't knocking him.
We're not coming after him. But now, with that said, I've heard someone say, "Take that" to us before.
Take that.
It didn't go well. The last time that happened, it did not go well.
It didn't end well for him? Is that what you're trying to say?
From our previous radio life, when someone told us to take that, it wasn't. So here's the thing. It's great that you've seen Seinfeld.
However,
you are aware though that he said it. He's 25.
Yeah.
That means he was born in 2001, which means Seinfeld went off the air in 1998.
Yeah. He was adopted into Seinfeld. We were molded by it. He gave us the soup Nazi. I don't think he knows who Babu is. I don't think he goes into a dentist and automatically thinks of Tim Watley and what an anti-dentite is.
Do you think he knows Banya?
I don't think he goes into a library ever in his life and worries about being questioned by Lieutenant Bookman. Okay? I don't think he worries about having a Lloyd Braun style nervous breakdown. Do you think he even knows what a water pick is?
No. There's no chance.
Do you think he's ever been to a Kenny Rogers Roasters?
No, he hasn't.
Do you think he knows what it's like to turn your apartment into a bunch of stairs? Do you think he knows what it's like to put oil into a gigantic ball and have it fall out of a window?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Or to find a Titleist on the beach. It's Bleck Abdalla. We'll be back right here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, Sirius XM channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck, along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from downtown Chicago. We're on the air until 3 Eastern today. If you want to call or text us on a Friday, all calls welcome. Also, your text as well at 310-840-4910. From the conversation we were having last hour, from the 209, we get a text. Drake, the jerk store called. They're running out of you. So if you were with us 5 minutes ago, we were playing audio from Jake Toll earlier this morning, talking about the good old Bleck and Abdalla show. Yeah. Also from the 814, this is what the text reads. Recently found you guys on Westwood One and love it.
Thank you.
Listening from Erie, Pennsylvania in the 814. Big fan of the Fighting Irish, but you're right. Fans either love them or hate them. The college team that I can't stand, it's the Buckeyes, as I refer to them as the overrated state university. Keep killing it, boys. So there you go from the 814.
Self-aware.
Yes, absolutely.
Self-aware that people either love or hate Notre Dame and their somewhat sense of entitlement. And if
yeah, I mean, I get it why they have a great fan base. And the reason we were talking about this is we're talking about the Sweet 16 tonight. Duke plays. I'm Duke. I'm Coach K.
I'm on with the punter.
What? And and so tonight, Duke will face off against St. John's. You can listen to the coverage of the game right here on the Westwood One Sports app. There was an article in The Athletic yesterday asking if Duke is likable. Yeah. Which is not the case. I think there are elements of individuals with Duke basketball that you can like. I like John Shire. You and I are also from the state of Illinois, from the Chicagoland area, and we remember John Shire in high school when his nickname was White Mike, and he was the best high school basketball player in the state of Illinois. And he was great at Duke, and then he went on to the NBA, a short NBA career, and now he's doing a really good job coaching the Duke Blue Devils. And so there are elements of Duke basketball I can respect and like, but they're a hated team. Like, no one, unless you are a Dookie, you're not rooting for Duke to win.
I agree with you. I will play devil's advocate and also tell you that the reasons that they give are valid. Duke hasn't won in a while. They don't have Coach K around anymore. John Shire is a likable coach. He is not as outspoken about college basketball issues the way that Coach K was. The only thing that I don't like that Shire did this year is when fans stormed the court when they beat Duke, is that he was like some anti-court storming thing, and he said that,
on a rant?
That an assistant got punched when he didn't actually get punched.
well, no one should get punched.
Well, I understand, but he didn't actually get punched, though.
Okay.
He didn't actually it came out that he didn't actually get punched. So,
right.
Yeah, I agree with you. No one should get punched during a court storming, obviously. Obviously that. But if he didn't actually get punched, come out and say that, hey, I was wrong, all this kind of stuff. But Coach K was always like very outspoken. What's your major? Like he's calling out like student newspaper writers and all that kind of stuff. And then they always had the hateable players like J.J. Redick, Grayson Allen, like all these guys, like all these players that
Christian Laettner,
all these players that we grew up hating. Now Zion Williamson is a likable player. Cam Boozer is a likable player. Cooper Flagg was a likable player. Like all these guys are nice guys that we like watching. I can understand why the younger generation, the guys watching now, in your 20-somethings that you're watching, if you're in your teens and you're watching, why you don't have the same level of hate that we grew up having for Duke. I can understand it. It's just different. I can understand it.
Yeah, for today. I don't know.
I can understand it.
It's also, I think you and I come from an era where you don't have to like everything. I think there's a lot of buddy, I've got to like everything in sports now today because all these kids are from the same AAU groups.
Yeah,
yes. And they, they're transfer portal, and one day you're a rival, the next day you're buddy. You and I grew up in an era where you had rivals.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yes.
And sports are better when there are rivals. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. So last night, Arizona, Purdue, Illinois, and Iowa all advanced to the Elite Eight. Tonight, you get 4 more games. All the coverage, you can listen to it right here on Westwood One Sports. On the show, Bleck Abdalla, we have a bracket challenge. Our producer, Raj Sharon, has his bracket. Bleck and Abdalla and a cast of thousands. We compiled all of our ideas into one singular bracket, and we call this Beat the Raj.
Beat the Raj.
So last night, the Bleck and Abdalla bracket, heading into the Sweet 16 round, we had 40 wins so far in the NCAA tournament. We're not doing points. We're just doing straight up wins.
Dubs.
Who has the most wins out of the brackets for this competition. We also don't have a silly bet. You notice that? We don't have a
pride, bro.
That's what's on the table here.
Pride.
We're picking bets, and it's pride.
Yeah.
Us against Raj. Beat the Raj.
Pride.
Yes.
Pride.
That's all that matters. No silly bet.
No, we don't need that.
We're not gonna shave Raj's head
or his
when
eyebrows.
He gets back.
No.
And Raj is on vacation this week, and Stu is filling in. But pride is on the table. So the Bleck and Abdalla bracket, we had 40 wins heading into Sweet 16. Last night, we picked up 2 more: Arizona and Purdue. We didn't fare so well in the South bracket, Abdalla.
However,
in the South bracket, we didn't fare so well.
However,
as we did not have Illinois. We also did not have Iowa advancing.
And we lost one of our national championship competitors.
Yeah, we had Houston getting to the championship game.
Yeah.
So
Not great.
We're riding with Arizona right now. Arizona's the team that we're riding with. When we look at
we need a lot of help here from some other teams because Raj is making some headway here.
Yeah, when we look at Raj's bracket, he came into the Sweet 16 round with 34 wins. He picked up 2 wins yesterday with Illinois and Arizona. So we, Bleck and Abdalla, we're at 42. Raj is at 36. But Raj also has Illinois advancing, right? So we just said that. And then also Duke getting to the championship game. I'm Duke. Raj is also looking for Michigan State to win. But his Midwest bracket is completely wiped out.
Okay.
So if Michigan can get to the Final Four, we're in good standing.
We need Michigan and Michigan State to come through for us to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
We are big fans of the Mitten State.
Yeah, the state of Michigan.
The state of the Mitten. Yeah.
Beat the Raj.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beat the Raj.
You know that. People do that in Michigan. They
Yeah,
say,
they
where
hold-
are
they
you
hold their
from? And they
hand
put
up,
their hand up, and then
they
point.
go on from here in like the palm area or in the finger region here, maybe
Easy.
the thumb over here. Yeah.
The what region?
The finger.
It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. It's pollen season. It's here, but a dirty car doesn't have to be. Wash it away with Tidal Wave Auto Spa for a quick wash and a clean car happy feeling. Find a location at TidalWaveAutoSpa.com. I saw this yesterday, and it caught my attention because this individual is old school. I'm talking about Curt Cignetti. This guy is as old school as it comes. Take a listen to this piece of audio. Here's Curt Cignetti after spring ball talking about having to talk to a transfer wide receiver, Nick Marsh, because of his cleats. Here's Cignetti.
What about Nick Marsh really stood out to you when you were recruiting him from Michigan State?
2 years of production at Michigan State. I remember we played Maryland early in the year, and they did too, and saw that tape, and he made some big plays in that game. And I didn't love those gold shoes he came out in today. He learned what getting your ass ripped is all about. I don't know if it happened to him very often in Michigan State. That was before practice started.
That was Cignetti. You know, spring ball is going on around the country for the different football programs, and the defending champs, the Indiana Hoosiers, which is still crazy to think about and say that Indiana football, the best in college football, and Curt Cignetti and his program. And I love it. A transfer portal kid from Michigan State, Nick Marsh, he had other options where he could go play this offseason. He chose to go to Indiana, and he shows up day one with gold cleats. NIL millions in the pocket, gold cleats on the feet. I'm ready to go, coach. And Cignetti rips him a new one before the first practice.
As an Alabama fan, Chris.
Yeah.
I was skeptical of the Nick Saban comparisons to Curt Cignetti until I saw this. This is very Saban-esque. Like the way that he coaches And obviously, the way that he just dominates teams and finds your weaknesses and just exploits those weaknesses is very Saban-esque, but also this calling out like players, even the way he said ass ripped, and because Saban would just call ass chewings, all that kind of stuff. Like Nick Saban may be out of coaching, but he is right here in the Midwest in Kurt Cignetti form.
It's great. It's refreshing and it's needed.
Yeah.
Cignetti might be my favorite in college football now. He is so great. Now there's other head coaches around the country that are all no nonsense the same way. Like Dan Lanning is the same way. He's just younger. So like I think it comes across a little differently to younger athletes.
Yeah.
But
Oregon's not going to care about gold cleats. If any school's not going to care about gold cleats, it's Oregon.
No, that's true. I'm just saying the way that Dan Lanning approaches the no nonsense type of, and when you look at Cignetti and what he's built at Indiana, I think it could be easy when you're throwing money all around, bringing in transfer portal kids for, like here's the other thing with the college kid now. College kid now has a couple $1 million because of NIL, and you're highly recruited. Other schools wanted Nick Marsh to transfer from Michigan State to their school.
Yeah.
And so think about the level of ego for a college kid in that setting.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about it at length on our show that the one thing that really is bothersome is how every kid now is afraid of competition. The moment that they are told they are not the greatest thing to ever exist, they jump into the portal. If there's another player at their position that might beat them out for a starting gig, they jump into the portal. Because God forbid anyone competes for anything anymore. It all has to be handed to you. And to hear Cignetti say that to a kid that decided to join his team day one, like, we're not doing this. Whatever you're doing there, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I'm glad you spent the money on those, but we're not. We're not. And that's what I think is like the new kind of coaching. And like, I'll keep going back to, because I think that if Cignetti did this in 2 years and turned Indiana into this, and if he can replicate this after losing a bunch of players, obviously losing their starting quarterback, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick in the draft. And if he can replicate this and win back-to-back, like let's say he does win back-to-back or win 2 and 3 years or 3 and 4 years, and it does go on a quote, Saban-like run, what Saban used to do is go into kids' living rooms and say, we're not guaranteeing you a spot. You get a chance to compete to be on the best team in the country. And that would like fire kids up, right? That would fire up student athletes to say, exactly. You don't, like you said, that's not a thing anymore because they'll just say, well, I'm going to go somewhere where I can start. If this is the new whatever firing up and saying, hey, that's not going to fly here. Once you get here, you might have gotten your millions, but once you're on the field, we're all the same. And like, you're not going to be wearing gold cleats and being flashy and all that kind of stuff because everybody's competing for the same goal. That's fine. I love it. I think it's great.
It's one of those things. If you're a college football fan, you have your team and you follow your recruiting for your team. We all do it. I follow loosely the recruiting cycle and commitments for USC. They're my favorite football team for college football. You do it for Alabama. Everyone has their team. What I've noticed in the last 2 years specifically is it's almost an absolute waste of time with quarterbacks because what is happening is when the quarterback who is already there decides that they are staying, all of the quarterbacks on the depth chart all jump back into the portal.
Yep.
And so even though Lincoln Riley, for my one specific example, because that's the team I'm paying attention to, Lincoln Riley's out there getting 5 stars, top 5 quarterbacks in the recruiting class to commit. And then the moment they hear that the returning starter is returning, they all jump into the portal and then they're all going elsewhere. And it's kind of frustrating as a fan to kind of like pay it. Like I used to really enjoy following along with college recruiting, especially for college football. And especially this time of year, trying to figure out like who's going to be the next guy in a couple seasons or next year or whatever it is. And I've noticed in the last 2 years, because of the transfer portal, because of the money that's out there for some of these players, that you really can't. It's like you have to go day to day. And it's like the first line guy, the starter, is the only guy you can expect to be there next year if your school is big enough.
Mm-hmm.
If your school is smaller, you're a feeder program for the big dogs.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking with college basketball and this whole Cinderella conversation in the last 2 weeks, is that you have players who used to stay at the smaller school and make a run 1, 2, 3 times in the tournament. And, you know, that third time, that player is with other players who are juniors or seniors, and that group can go and take down a bunch of one-and-done players who are all freshmen at Kentucky. Like, that used to be fun about the tournament, and that doesn't exist anymore because those kids get poached to the bigger schools.
Unless you're Michigan State this year. Like, Michigan State is the only school this year where everyone has been there for...
But the kid from Iowa,
yeah,
who hit the winning shot to get to the Sweet 16,
yep,
he was at Robert Morris.
Exactly.
And Robert Morris would have been one of those teams from a one-bid league that if they were able to get to the tournament, that would be the type of team that would be, quote, a Cinderella. But he's taken to a Big Ten team.
Mm-hmm. And I just like the no-nonsense attitude from Kurt Signetti.
It's
and
fantastic.
I think that, like, I hope that they can do something. I hope that they stay relevant, and I hope that he can do this again. And they're favored to do something big in college football this year.
It's Bleck Abdalla. You can join us at 310-840-4910. Ray in Chicago, you're on with Bleck Abdalla. What's up, Ray?
Buddies, how you guys doing?
What's up, Ray?
What's up, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What's up, Adam? At least, Adam, I know your name. Like this, unlike this Drake guy, you can't pronounce your guys. Say your first name. Drake doesn't know what it's like to be master of your domain, does he? No.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
Since it's all calls welcome, I'm going to give you gentlemen the option. I have a couple of things based on the week's been going. So either the villain topic, what team or person, NBA tanking. I have a question about that I don't think anyone's thought about, or the value of drafting a running back early in the first round.
Let's go with the villain. Who's the team you hate in sports? Give us that one, Ray.
Well, from Chicago, like you guys. I mean, I hate the Packers, but the Packers don't qualify for like this discussion. I feel like I'm just sick, like you guys mentioned. I'm sick of Dallas. I'm sick of LeBron because they're always in the media 24 hours a day throughout the year. And for what? Like, I don't care. I'd rather, I want to hear about other teams and other players in those leagues. And I just can't stand that the Cowboys are talked about all the time. And like you said, they haven't won jack in like how long? Like, I don't care. I mean, there's people that like the Cowboys, I'm sure, but I want to hear about other teams. And the same with LeBron. Like, it's enough. I don't need to hear about him 24/7. Let's hear about all the other great players or young up-and-coming players in that sport. So that's my thought. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Love the show, and of course, I'll hang up and listen to what you guys say. Thanks.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate the phone call. If you want to be like Ray, you can call us at 310-840-4910. You can also text us at the same number. Yeah, LeBron, the Dallas Cowboys, think of the Yankees to some extent. Duke basketball. Duke's number one. For college football, I think it's Notre Dame. I think historically it's Notre Dame.
Wow.
I could see as of late.
It's also Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Well,
I could see.
Listen, it's all the complaining that they did around this college football playoff.
But Marcus Freeman is very likable.
Listen, I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's a great coach. I want him to jump to the NFL this year. I think this year would have been the perfect year for him to jump to the NFL with all these openings with the Steelers and the Ravens. Those two jobs were made for Marcus Freeman to take those two jobs. Even the Giants job was made for Marcus Freeman to take. But this whole, like, if they're in the top 12, they're guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. Like, come on. That's so entitled. And, like, fans know that, and their fans know that. Come on. What do we do? And how they won't join a league, and how they want to remain independent. It's just, I understand why fans that didn't go to Notre Dame or aren't fans of Notre Dame dislike them.
We're under a month until the NFL draft. Who will draft Ty Simpson? We'll talk about that coming up next. Every March, the tournament delivers the unexpected. This year, DraftKings Sportsbook is leaning into the chaos with mystery reward.
When you're set to place your bet, just select your mystery token in the bet slip, and you can use your cash or your DK dollars to lock it in. Opt in today at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code B&A. That's B&A for Bleck and Abdalla to opt in and claim your mystery reward at DraftKings Sportsbook. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. One reward per customer. Rewards vary and expire at the end of the final college basketball game. Each tourney round when offered. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos for more details.
The landscape of the NFL has shifted massively this month. And as we head towards the draft, what will happen next? The NFL never sleeps, and neither do we. On your home for the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
That's right, broadcasting each and every day from downtown Chicago, hanging out with you and all of our radio affiliates around the country. It's Bleck and Abdalla. In this week for Raj Sharon is Stu Kovacs. He is joining us from New Jersey, and now it's time to fill in the blank with Stu. Hello, Stu.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday. We have fill in the blank here. Okay, first one. Tom Brady, we've talked about him kind of admitting that he sort of asked about maybe coming out of retirement while being the part owner of the Raiders. So Tom Brady admitting that he tried to come out of retirement is blank. Bleck?
Okay, what is it to, Tom Brady admitting that it is egocentric? Is that a way to phrase it? I'm going to say egocentric because Tom Brady thinks he can do anything all the time, always. And so for him to go to the league and say, hey, what are the odds that I could play some football while still being a part owner? And how can we figure this out? And the league not being happy, I think is very egocentric of Tom Brady.
Attention seeking. Because people will say, oh, it's Tom Brady. What attention does he need to seek? Did you see how many people showed up to this flag football thing?
How many?
Like 10.
Really?
Yeah, no one was there.
You told me earlier in the week.
No one was there.
I didn't watch. I can't believe that NFL player still played in it. That still bothers me.
Exactly.
Days later, it still is infuriating to me that took place.
I understand that it was supposed to be overseas and for reasons. It wasn't. As Chris would like to say. Chris is being very vague about why it wasn't in Saudi Arabia. Because of a war.
No, what was I going to say? Because of a conflict in the Middle East.
An ongoing conflict in the Middle East. It's called a war.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I don't know if he purposely gave these questions to the guy on CNBC. But I think it was to get something written about this. Because if you're just asking about the flag football thing, no one's going to write about this. But because this was asked, attention was brought onto this interview because he was asked about coming out of retirement.
It is funny that you said it that way. And when I listened to it, it did sound as if this was a late night talk show question that was told that had to be asked.
Right?
Right? Like, everyone knows that when the celebrities go on these late night shows, Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert for another month or two, when you go on these shows, the PR teams give those hosts the setups for all of these goofy, funny stories.
So you were pulled over a month ago, huh?
So you saw a woodchuck in your backyard. What do you think?
How'd you deal with that?
And then the celebrity tells you some boring answer that they think is very funny and shows their personality.
You think the CNBC reporter knew that Tom Brady was coming out of applied to come out of retirement?
It does sound it sounded like a setup deal. You're right. It did sound like that.
So this is a way for him to get attention on this league or whatever it is because no one showed up. The stadium was empty. And it was a small stadium. They did it at a soccer stadium. It's not like they did it in LA. It's not like they did it at SoFi. They did it at a soccer stadium and it was empty. Stu?
Yes, Stu.
Yeah, it certainly was something.
Like
you guys know, I didn't even know what's happening until I saw people on Twitter X freaking out about it. I had no idea this was a thing.
I cannot believe that NFL players played in it.
Oh, well.
I'm shocked.
Their fans can't either.
What's next, Stu?
All right, so we talked a lot about Ty Simpson this week, and he's pretty much been the topic of conversation regarding the NFL draft of late. Some people think he might be in the top 15, but at least most people think he will be QB2. So Ty Simpson will be drafted by the blank Abdalla.
Okay, I'm going to use a classic Abdalla cop-out here.
Oh, jeez.
But I have a reason for it.
Is Stu aware of
I
what
have
you
a
do
reason
with this
for it.
nonsense?
It's a fence riding tactic that I do.
He's not going to give you an answer.
I'm not going to give you an answer.
He's going
But
to
I have
ramble
a
for
reason.
like 3
I
minutes
have a reason.
and not give a real
I have
answer.
a reason. I have a reason. I have a reason.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Stay with me on this. There was an
Okay.
article written on ESPN.com today, the latest draft buzz and rumors.
Buzz.
Okay? And this is the buzz. And this is Matt Miller, Jordan Reed, and Field Yates. All of their draft experts except for Mel Kiper Jr. Okay? Because he's still in his lair with his pumpkin pie.
Yeah, he's eating pumpkin pie.
Eating pumpkin
with
pie. Yeah,
whipped cream on top.
Exactly. So, if people don't know that fun fact, Mel Kiper Jr. eats a piece of pumpkin pie every
day.
single day of the year, not just
Every day.
Thanksgiving. Every single day of the year.
Every single
okay.
day.
So,
fun fact.
My answer is I don't know because no one knows. Because here was the question posed. Here's the question posed to Matt Miller, Jordan Reed, and Field Yates. What percentage chance would you put on Ty Simpson going in round 1? Matt Miller gave 25%. Reed gave 75%, and Field Yates gave 90%. These are their draft experts, and they gave 25, 75, and 90%. No one knows. No one knows anything about Ty Simpson. No one knows where he's going to go. No one knows which teams are interested. No one knows if he's being drafted to start. No one knows if he's drafted to be a backup. No one knows anything
Stu was asking you
about where Ty Simpson is going to be drafted. That being said,
we were looking for your opinion.
he's going to be drafted by the Rams to sit behind Matthew Stafford for a year.
Wow. That's a wild card selection. Stu, my answer will be the New York Jets. I think the Jets, not with their second pick overall in the first round, not with 16 with the Colts, but they have 2 picks in the second round. They have 33 and 44. I think with one of those picks, they will take Ty Simpson. So I'm going to say the New York Jets will take Simpson.
All right, I like it.
Stu was looking for your opinion. Not,
I know,
not
but
Field Yates,
I wanted to
not
give
Jordan Reed.
I wanted to
not
give
Matt Miller.
I wanted to give our fine audience some
Abdalla.
I wanted to give our fine audience some up-to-the-date information that just came out today. I would like to give them some up-to-the-date information.
We appreciate that.
I don't think you do. I don't think I'm appreciated,
Stu,
around these parts.
Well, we have another quarterback that is without a home, and that is the Colts' former first-round pick, Anthony Richardson, who they gave permission to seek a trade at the start of the offseason, but nothing has materialized as of yet. Anthony Richardson will be on blank team at the start of next season, Bleck.
Yeah, sure. You want to date other people? Go ahead.
Yeah, see what you can get, bro.
Go. Yeah, sure. Why don't you go out with the boys? See what you can do.
Wow.
I'm going to say Anthony Richardson will be playing as a backup for the Arizona Cardinals. I think Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett locked in as the starter as of right now. I think they'll take a flyer on Richardson and see if he can be something in a couple of seasons after some seasoning and development. I'm going to say the Cardinals.
The Ravens only have Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley on their roster right now. So I would say why not take a flyer on Anthony Richardson and have him come in and see what he can do and have a little competition for the backup spot between Tyler Huntley and Anthony Richardson and see who can win that job. Obviously, you're not going to compete for a starting job with Lamar Jackson. Like, he's your starter. But if you can win the backup role and then you'd find something to do with Tyler Huntley, I think that's a decent job. I think that's a spot where he could get some run.
I'm not out on the idea that one day Richardson may be a decent quarterback. We saw it happen to Geno Smith.
Yeah.
We were all out on Geno Smith after his Jets run.
Yeah.
So give it a few years. He's still young. Isn't Anthony Richardson like 24?
I know, he's super young.
He's like very young.
He didn't play like any football before he got drafted.
No, I know.
He's 23.
So 23.
He's about to turn. He's going to turn 24 in like a month. Yeah.
I'm willing to allow him to try and develop. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think he's older than Drake. Stu?
I'm just going to leave that alone.
Stu?
Oh, okay. Look, college basketball. We had some great games last night, and then tonight I think is what everyone's really looking forward to, especially in the East region. Duke taking on St. John's, UConn taking on Michigan State, and then the winner of those two games facing each other on Sunday. Blank will win the East region on Sunday.
I'm still going to say Michigan State. That's who we have in our bracket. That's who I've picked from the start of all this. That's who I have in our Westwood One station bracket. So I'm sticking with my guns, and I'm going Michigan State, regardless of who comes back and plays for Duke. If Caleb Foster comes back and plays tonight or whatever, and if they advance, if he plays in the Elite Eight, whatever it is, I'm sticking with Michigan State.
I'm going to go with Michigan State as well. We have them in the bracket. I also think that they're going to be the toughest out of those three other teams in that bracket in the East remaining. I kind of would like to see St. John's get to the Final Four. Yeah. You and I are going to be there in Indy next week covering the Final Four. I think that would be a fun story to follow if Patino and St. John's can get there, but I'm going to go with Michigan State, Stu.
All right, the baseball season has started, and we've had a few rookies that have really made their mark so far. Carson Bench of the Mets, Munetaka Murakami of the White Sox, and J.J. Weatherholt of the Cardinals all homered in their first career games. But there's one youngster who is not with his big league club, and that is Connor Griffin of the Pirates, the number one prospect in baseball. So the Pirates keeping Griffin in the minors is blank. Black?
I'm going to say it's artificial suppression. That's what I'm going to say. It's garbage. Baseball teams do this so then they can milk the contracts on the back end. If you delay the start time on the clock of the kid playing in the majors, you can then squeeze out an additional season. It's artificial suppression.
It's not artificial. It's just suppression.
Stupid.
It's not surprising is what it is because Chris is right. It's what they do. And poor Murakami. Homering down like 13-1.
Yeah, why not?
Just sad. He hits his first home run of his Major League Baseball career, and it's just a sad trot around the bases.
Because the White Sox, every trot's going to be sad.
That's not true. That's not the Chase Mydroth. The Chase Mydroth trot wasn't sad.
They're garbage.
That wasn't a sad trot. That was a fun trot. Yeah, it's a terrible team. But no, it's not surprising because this is what every team does with their young stars so they can manipulate the service time and all that. He'll be up this year at some point and fans will get to watch him, but this is what teams do. And it's smart. I'm not going to knock teams for taking advantage of the system. This is the system. If players want to fight it, then guess what? There's a collective bargaining agreement happening at the end of the year. Bargain your way out of it. Okay.
Yes.
Bargain your way out of it. If you don't like it, then bargain your way out of it.
Why are you yelling at us about this?
I'm yelling at the players. I'm yelling at Connor Griffin.
Stu?
I love it. All right, last one here. We have Arkansas. They fell to Arizona in the Sweet 16 last night, putting an end to John Calipari's second season at Fayetteville. When all is said and done, John Calipari will reach blank Final Fours with the Razorbacks. Abdalla?
Doesn't he have like a ton of money? Doesn't Arkansas have like an insane amount of NIL?
They have chicken money. Tyson Chicken.
Yeah. And like, doesn't Jerry Jones contribute a bunch of money too?
Yeah.
I think he'll get...
Yeah, they got money.
I'll give him one.
It's why he's there.
Yeah.
They got money, and that's why he's there.
I'll give him one.
I'm going to say one as well.
I'll give him one just because of the NIL, and he's still a good enough coach. I'll give him one. I
agree with Abdalla. I'm going to say one. I don't think that there will be this like long run where Arkansas is making the Final Four each and every season, but he'll get there. I think the Razorbacks will get to the Final Four at some point. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, guys. That was a lot of fun, as always.
There it is. Fill in the blank. Stu filling in for Raj this week, doing a great job. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. All right, so I saw a story earlier today, which is kind of a bummer because I think in the future, our summers will end sooner. I love summer. Summer's the best. But I think in the future, they're going to end sooner. I'll tell you about that story coming up next.
Can number 5 seed St. John's stop the buzzsaw that is Duke basketball? Listen on the Westwood One Sports app. Tonight, 7:10 Eastern, followed by the remaining Sweet 16 matchups from your home of the NCAA tournament. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
All right, if you're a kid and you go to school, or if you're a parent of kids, there's one significant thing that takes place at the end of the summer that signifies to you that summer's over. It's going back to school, right? Like if you're a parent of kids or if you are a kid going back to school, that's the end of summer. You get warm weather still, but your days of riding your bike or going to the pool or playing outside all day and not having to worry about homework, those are over. School starts, summer's over, summer vacation's over. If you are neither a student or a parent, the one thing that I look at is, for me, the end of summer is the start of the football season. When the football season starts, that's the end of summer. Of course, we get great weather for 2 months in different parts of the country, and you know, some parts in the South or the West, you get great weather all the time, so it's not something that impacts your life. But all of us, you know, slugging it here in the Midwest, where we get winter on the horizon, it's something that you think about.
Yeah.
And so the start of the football season is the end of summer to me. I think a lot of people kind of look at it that way as well. I saw this story on Pro Football Talk earlier today from Mike Florio. So we got the news earlier this week that the NFL this upcoming season will have a game on Wednesday night after Labor Day. The Seattle Seahawks will host the opener for the NFL season. And then we'll have the game that takes place in Australia, which is really on Friday morning locally, but it will be aired in America on Thursday night. So you'll get Wednesday, Thursday television broadcasts of football to start the NFL season. And we know that Labor Day is traditionally the start of week 1 college football. And there are rumblings that the NFL is edging closer and closer towards Labor Day. And with an 18th game on the horizon, the NFL will have to figure something out if they want the season to end on President's Day or the weekend before President's Day. So the Super Bowl takes place on the Sunday before that Monday. That they would have to start the season earlier, and perhaps the NFL may at some point try and take over Labor Day weekend. So this is the article from Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio. The headline, with the NFL possibly returning to Labor Day weekend, college football may start a week earlier. And it has a quote per The Athletic that the college football powers that be could move the start of the college football season, which most seasons that week is called week 0, that could be the week where the college football season would start, the week before Labor Day weekend, and that per the report, there's urgency that exists with those in college football to pass this measure so they can implement it before 2027, which to me would signal summer ending earlier if football is starting the week before Labor Day. Labor Day weekend's a great weekend to end the summer.
Yeah.
That's the marker.
Okay.
College football might be looking to move a week ahead of Labor Day, and the NFL would then take over Labor Day weekend. I don't want my summer to be shorter.
Well, Chris, tough. Because the NFL is ever expanding and it's going to consume, and you know, it's a 100-year-old movie, but the NFL is the blob. And the NFL is just going to slowly take over everything. And as we are less than a month away from the NFL draft, we're getting mock drafts every single day. We're getting new reports. I mean, how much did you ever think we were going to talk about Ty Simpson ahead of the NFL draft?
Oh, he's the second best quarterback in the draft. Of course we're going to talk about him.
I understand that. But this is also a one quarterback draft, which is something very rare in the NFL draft. But this year it is. And then we have the schedule release in May, and then training off-season workouts, and then training camps. And then, you're right, we get to summer, and then we get to preseason games, and then week 0, I'm looking at the schedule right now, North Carolina, TCU, Hawaii, Stanford, NC State, Virginia, Memphis, UNLV, San Jose State, and USC, huh?
Week 0 has...
nothing.
Well, it's...
nothing.
Got its own place. I don't need the full slate of college action on the week 0 week.
This is what's going to happen. If the NFL is going to get an 18th game, it is not going to move the schedule later into the year.
Okay, let me ask this question. If the NFL has to move it to Labor Day weekend, why don't we just have a football palooza on Labor Day weekend where college takes Saturday. The NFL has their intro game on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You could have college on a little Friday night action. You know, all those schools love those Friday night games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you could go NFL Thursday, college Friday, college Saturday, NFL Sunday, NFL Monday. Why not do that?
Because college wants their own weekend, and college has it set up where their week one this year has all their Saturday matchups, and then on Sunday you're going to get
one game, right?
Notre Dame, Wisconsin.
A great game.
And then on Monday you're going to get
one game.
Florida State, SMU.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That'll be good.
It's okay. The point is they want their own feature weekend. They want their own weekend. Just like the NBA. You and I argue about this all the time. The NBA wanted their day. They wanted Christmas.
They have a day.
They wanted their day.
It was Wednesday. This week. There's nothing else cooking.
I know. Well, but they wanted their holiday. And then the NFL was like, nah, buddy, we celebrate Christmas too in this house. And they came in and they took their day. They took it from them. And now the NFL is taking Labor Day. And so college football, wisely, is saying, well, we want our day. And so they're going to move their day. They're moving down the street.
So I saw that story. I thought it was interesting. I don't want college football starting any earlier than Labor Day, but it sounds like at some point that's what we're going to have. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, sponsored by Robinhood. You can expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Learn more and get started today at Robinhood. Robinhood.com/yourmoney. All right, Abdalla, we heard this earlier in the week. The QVC channel. Take a listen to this piece of audio from QVC.
It's a joke. I mean, you look at that.
I had tassels on my pasties.
Yes. Shay, can we get the full QVC audio there? Not the PJ Carlissimo. All right, so we'll grab that in a second. Bleck Abdalla here on
PJ Carlissimo was starting to sell something on QVC. If PJ Carlissimo was going to sell,
we were not meant to play PJ
Carlissimo was going to
there.
sell something on QVC, what would PJ Carlissimo sell on QVC? We've heard great stories about PJ Carlissimo from our great friend and broadcaster Adam Amin.
Yes, he's a longtime guy.
Longtime guy, and I think PJ would do well on QVC. I think he would be a great salesman on QVC.
I'm not saying this to throw anyone under the bus. I'm just making sure people understand at home. We were not intentionally trying to play the tassels on the pasties clip with PJ Carlissimo.
I'm trying to get that out of. Stop putting that into people's minds. Stop putting.
But the way it sounded,
PJ Carlissimo.
That was not what was intended for this segment.
Pasties into people's mind, because that's what you're doing.
We are going to hear from PJ Carlissimo previewing the Sweet 16 games tonight.
Now all you're going to think about
and St. John's. We were not intentionally trying to play that.
Nope. You see what you've done is now all people are going to be able to think about is PJ Carlissimo and pasties. That's all people are going to be able to think about now. You've done this. This is what I was trying to move on.
And I'm picturing like loafers and tall socks.
Yeah, I'm trying to move on.
That too?
Yeah, and pasties. And pasties, because you brought it together. I was trying to bring this to QVC. Maybe he's selling a red sauce. Maybe he's selling utensils. No, you brought pasties. You brought in pasties, not me. You did this.
No, I just wanted to make sure that people understood we were not trying to play those two clips together. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. We will hear from PJ Carlissimo coming up next.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, SiriusXM Channel 375, and all of our great radio affiliates around the country. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from downtown Chicago. We're on the air until 3 Eastern, and then we'll hand it off to Jim Rome here on Westwood One Sports. It's a Friday. All calls welcome. Friday calls with Bleck and Abdalla. The caller text line is 310-840-4910 if you want to join the show this hour. Last night, we had Arizona, Purdue, Illinois, Iowa, all advanced to the Elite Eight, and we have 4 more great games tonight in the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. For all of the coverage, you can listen to the games and everything in between of the coverage of March Madness here on Westwood One from the Westwood One Sports app. Make sure you download the Westwood One Sports app. A lot of good games tonight, and we had some great action last night in the Sweet 16 round.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from last night is that Arizona looks like the best team in the country right now. We'll see what Duke can do tonight. Like, Duke has been dominant, and Michigan has really been heading into tonight, besides the Arizona game, the most dominant. They have had an easier path thus far. I think they've got a big game, obviously, against Alabama. They're like a 10-point favorite, though, against Alabama because their second best player in Alabama had 2.1 pounds of marijuana on him and will not be playing in tonight's game. So that being said, it seems like Michigan's path to the Final Four, once they get past Alabama, if they end up facing Iowa State, that'll be their biggest test to get to the Final Four. Arizona just absolutely dismantling Arkansas, handing Coach Calipari his biggest loss in the NCAA tournament so far. You had the great game between Purdue and Texas. You had Illinois running away from Houston in the second half of that game. That was a great game. And then Iowa continuing their... It's not a Cinderella run, I guess, because we're not allowed to call Big Ten teams Cinderellas.
No. You say I guess because I told you earlier that's not.
No, it's fine.
Oh, go ahead. Do the Cinderella bit.
No, we're not allowed to.
Big Ten school.
We're not allowed to. If their name was UMBC, if their name was High Point and they were a 9 seed,
correct.
If their name was Miami of Ohio and they were a 9 seed, but the fact that their name is Iowa and they're a 9 seed, we're not allowed to.
It's a big dog.
It's not. It's not. It's not the jersey. It's the number. It's the number.
What's the number?
9.
Come on.
9.
Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
America's team.
Well, I said to you, and that's fair. If you want to give them that name, that they're America's team, you can do that. You're Adam Abdalla. You're more than welcome to do that. You trying to tell me that the University of Iowa, or what we were talking about yesterday, Texas, that they're Cinderella stories in college basketball, you're out of your mind. That's not the case. That's not a Cinderella. You don't have to stretch it to make it a Cinderella.
Yeah.
It can be what it is.
That's fair.
And it's okay for the tournament to no longer have the mid-majors who become the darlings and the Cinderellas. That's okay. That's not the case. You can't just paint any team because you're the 7th best team in the Big Ten, the 9th best team in the Big 12, that you get to be a Cinderella. That's not how this works.
I think when you beat a number 1 team, I think that when you have a run like you have, when you beat Nebraska, when you were trailing the entire game, when you come all the way back, when you beat a team in a game of that fashion, after beating a number 1 team, I think that now you also beat a higher seed in the first round of the tournament, too. They beat an 8 seed. They're a 9 seed. They beat an 8 seed.
Of course.
I think that now...
winning in the tournament does not mean you're a Cinderella.
I'm not saying they're a Cinderella. I'm saying that this is going to be the new normal. So call it whatever you want to. Pick another Disney movie. I don't call them a Snow White. I don't care. Pick something else to call them. They're not. If you don't want to call them Cinderellas, call them something else. But you got to have a new name for what this team, these lower seeds are that could be advancing to the Elite Eight and to the Final Four. Because they're not mid-majors, they're not Cinderellas.
No.
They're taking down 1 seeds.
They're from major programs.
They could beat Illinois and they could get to the Final Four.
Of course, and it would be a great story. My outlook on it is not to take away from the Hawkeyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to force feed us that that's a Cinderella. That's not taking. That's not going to work.
Okay, for you, it's not.
In my book, I think there's a lot of people that probably agree with me.
Good for them.
A true mid-major that goes on a run to the Elite Eight, that's a Cinderella. A team from the Big Ten or the Big 12 or the SEC winning a couple games because they had a poor regular season and then they get there, that's different. They have money. They have the ability to be on a level playing field with some of the top dogs.
Yeah, but it isn't the fairy tale of Cinderella that she actually does end up with the prince at the end. Isn't that how it ends? Isn't it she gets the happy ending? Isn't that how it ends?
Easy. Don't tell me easy. You're the one that said it.
No, you're the one that your mind's in the gutter, man. I'm talking fairy tales here. I'm talking children's stories. I don't know. I've got a kid. You're the one that's bringing your mind into the gutter, all right? Get your mind out of the gutter. We're on the 6th floor, and your mind's in the gutter.
You can't easy someone easy.
I'm up here.
You get me an easy off of the easy.
I'm on the 6th floor. You're in the gutter, okay? I'm saying that the end
I don't know if the Cinderella had
the end of the story
the end of the story
that
that was
Gus
happy,
and all
yes.
of them were happy, and that Cinderella's always fizzle out in the NCAA tournament. Iowa could have a good run here and actually get to a Final Four and win something. They have one of the best coaches in college basketball right now.
All right, who's your Cinderella tonight then?
Well, tonight's a bunch of great coaches here.
Oh, good programs.
Tonight's a bunch of great coaches
right.
here.
Okay.
Yeah,
no Cinderella tonight.
Not tonight. Look at the numbers.
All right, look at the numbers.
Yeah, you got a bunch of 2 and 3 seeds here playing here. What are we doing here?
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports
This is
app.
a family program.
Stu texted us saying, "Is Duke a Cinderella because they haven't won in a while?"
No, it would be St. John because everybody feels bad for Rick Pitino.
I don't think anyone should feel bad for him. I just think he's a good coach.
He is a good coach.
So you can listen to all of the coverage here on Westwood One, the Westwood One Sports app. Jason Horowitz will join us in about 15 minutes to preview tonight's games. He's our studio host for March Madness on Westwood One. So Jason Horowitz will join us, and we'll talk a little college basketball and preview the Sweet 16. It all starts tonight with St. John's and Duke, 7:10 Eastern in the East region. Yesterday here on the show, we had a chance to talk with Westwood One's PJ Carlissimo, and he broke down St. John's and their chances against Duke tonight.
They have nights when they don't shoot the ball well from the perimeter. The emphasis is always on the defense and the pressure and the way they rebound. But the way they rebound, the way they go to the glass, and the year that Zuby Ejiofor is having, they're dangerous. I'm literally not going to be surprised if they come out of the East. I do believe they're that good. I think Duke deserves all the accolades, and they deserve to be the favorite. But if St. John should win or St. John should come out of the East and they got to deal with Michigan State first and Tom Izzo's team, I'm not going to be surprised. They're that good. St. John's has everything. They really do. And I think this team shoots it a little better than last year's team at St. John's. I think they're, they struggled early in the year. Rick didn't have trouble with them being a 5 seed. I did. I mean, if they're a 5 seed, I don't know anything about basketball. They're a heck of a lot better than a 5 seed.
So that was PJ Carlissimo with Bleck Abdalla yesterday on the show. If you missed the interview, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, Bleck Abdalla Show, right there on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. PJ also had a chance to preview the Michigan State-UConn matchup tonight.
It's a joke. I mean, you look at that region. Duke's the number one. How'd you like to be the number 1 seed in the entire tournament, and you're in a bracket with Hall of Fame guys, national championship guys, guys that have dominated the NCAA tournament, and not that John Shire's outmatched, because like what John Shire and Tommy Lloyd have done early in their careers is absolutely unbelievable. But I mean, like, you're John, you're going against Rick, and you look at the other half of the bracket, and there's a couple. I mean, how many national championships are in that group with Duke, Michigan State, UConn? You got Hall of Fame guys. You got everything you could ever ask for in Washington.
So the East region is loaded. That was PJ Carlissimo. You can hear him on the Westwood One Sports broadcast. And make sure you have the Westwood One Sports app for tonight's coverage. 7:10 first tip between St. John's, Duke, Eastern time. East region, that's the first matchup. Michigan State, UConn will follow that game. And then in the Midwest region, Alabama, Michigan will face off. That's a 7:35 tip Eastern time. And then Tennessee and Iowa State will be the late game in the Midwest region. I feel like Tennessee-Iowa State is the one matchup we've talked the least about this week. Iowa State's good. They're really good.
Yeah.
And they have a chance to surprise people as well. But we have 4 great games that you can listen to on the Westwood One Sports app tonight.
Yeah, I think people are obviously looking forward to the two matchups between the great head coaches, obviously, St. John's and Duke and Michigan State and UConn in that East region, and whether the bracket experts set it up that way or not. But it should be great basketball for either team. And then the Final Four matchup, or the Elite Eight matchup to get to the Final Four between either team that gets there, whether it's Duke, St. John's, or Michigan State or UConn, should be great. Going back to Michigan and Alabama, Michigan being a huge favorite in this game, a 10-point favorite going into this game, I think they'll have a pretty easy time. Alabama not having the scoring threat of Aiden Holloway. LeBaron Philon has been good so far in this tournament. If he can score a bunch, but the problem with Alabama is they're truly one of these teams that live and die by the three. And if it's not going in for them, Michigan is going to run away with this game. And it seems like they can score at will. They're going to run away with this. Tennessee and Iowa State, like you mentioned, we've spent the least amount of time on this game. Tennessee is good. Tennessee's beaten Alabama a couple times this year. I think that Iowa State can win this game. They're a 4.5-point favorite, but Tennessee, I think it could be a close game. Tennessee's got a shot, I think, to win this game. Iowa State's a great team. When we talked to Josh Graham, who you can hear on Westwood One weeknights here, said that a few weeks ago he said Iowa State's a little bit overrated, but then going into the tournament, in the conference tournaments, and then now in the start of the NCAA tournament, they've been really good and surprised a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, and so I think that leads to, last night, there were a couple of games that were not close, especially the last two games, the night games. They were not, the late night games here in the Central Time Zone. Those games weren't close. They were blowouts in the second half. Arizona ran away from Arkansas. That was the marquee matchup that I was looking forward to last night. But from the jump, that game was a mismatch.
Yeah.
Arizona was way better. Illinois, in their win last night against Houston, I was shocked for most of the first half. It was a under 10 point per team score. I thought that I was seeing college football.
Yeah.
Two Big Ten teams punt the football back and forth because there was no scoring. And Illinois' defense and their ability at the start of the second half to kind of run out, surprising for Houston to kind of bow out here of the tournament. On the Bleck Abdalla show, we have our bracket challenge with our producer, Raj Sharon. He is off this week. Yep.
Beat the Raj.
That's right. Beat the Raj is what we're calling it. So it's the Bleck Abdalla bracket taking on Raj, his bracket. Now, Raj is alone on this. He put together his bracket, and he is taking on Bleck Abdalla and a cast of thousands. We have gotten a lot of expert opinions for our bracket, and we've put it together. Heading into the Sweet 16 round, the Bleck Abdalla bracket, we have won 40 games heading into the Sweet 16 round. Raj, on his side, he won 34 games in the first two rounds. Last night, the Bleck Abdalla bracket, we had Arizona and we had Purdue. So Arizona and Purdue
all right,
advancing from last night's action. Nice. So we're now sitting at 42 wins on our bracket sheet. And Raj had Arizona and he had Illinois.
Oh.
So Raj got 2 wins last night as well. So the score now is 42-36.
All right.
Bleck Abdalla in the lead. It's the Beat the Raj challenge. Yes.
Beat the Raj.
The problem is our South bracket is toast. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. The good part is his Midwest bracket is
gone.
Toast as well. We need the state of Michigan to show up for us.
To rise up.
The state of Michigan for Bleck and Abdalla has to show up. We need Michigan to make the Final Four. We need Michigan State to make the Final Four. And we need Arizona to win it all. That's what Bleck and Abdalla need so we can beat the Raj.
No, we have at the moment, we have a 6-game lead.
Mm-hmm.
6 wins. And the way I look at it is essentially Raj needs Duke to win it all and for you and I to essentially lose out for him to catch us. Right? Because I don't think he has enough on his board to get it done. He would need Duke to win and then Duke to get to the championship game. So that's 2 more points that he could. That's 3 total.
Yeah.
And then to be the champion, that would be 4. Have we locked this up already before tonight's action?
I don't think so, because if Purdue beats Arizona, we're out.
But he has Arizona going to the Final Four.
I understand that.
So he can't get any points from that.
No, I know, but he also has Duke and how far does he have Illinois going?
He has Illinois losing to Nebraska to go to the Final Four. Nebraska's
well,
out.
That's a problem.
So I mean, at this moment, it would appear to me, now we have to submit these brackets to the committee.
Yeah, the committee.
And the official
Simon
rules,
Schuster.
official rules experts of the Bleck Abdalla Beat the Raj Challenge. But it would appear, by my calculations, that unless Duke wins it all,
I think there's a chance, yeah.
We've got this locked and loaded.
I think there's a chance that if Duke wins it all and Arizona loses to Purdue, he can win. I think there's a chance.
But the moment Michigan goes on, like if we get Michigan to the Final Four, we're done.
We come in on Monday and Michigan's in the Final Four, it's over. It's over.
Same with MSU. We have Michigan State in the Final Four.
Yes. It's all or nothing for Raj this weekend.
So he needs Duke. He needs a lot of Duke. I'm Duke. I'm Coach K.
Raj, you need me this weekend.
Easy.
You stay? Where are you broadcasting from? You were in the gutter today.
What do you mean?
With PJ and the tassels and Cinderella.
I still can't believe you easied my easy.
Well, I'm trying to put on a family show here.
Oh, are you?
A family program.
Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We will preview the Sweet 16 games tonight with Jason Horowitz, studio host for March Madness on Westwood One Sports. He'll join us next. DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. The tournament is unexpected. Rewards are guaranteed.
DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards in the market with DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. You're not betting what might happen. You're betting on what's happening.
New to DraftKings, just bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code B&A. That's code B&A to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bonus bets are non-cash credits that apply 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer ends April 5th, 2026.
It's MLB opening week. The greatest reset button in sports. The grass is cut, the chalk is down, and the ballpark sounds like summer again. Welcome back, baseball. We missed you. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Last night, Arizona, Purdue, Illinois, and Iowa advanced to the Elite Eight. Tonight, you get 4 more games. You can listen to all of the action right here on the Westwood One Sports app. You know, the takeaway that I have, Adam, from last night, Arizona was really good. I was surprised by how good they looked against Arkansas. I thought that would be a closer game.
Yeah, absolutely. They look like right now the best team in the tournament. I know Michigan has looked pretty dominant thus far. We'll see how they play against Alabama tonight, and Duke has yet to play as well. But right now, Arizona looks like the team to beat.
We've got 4 more games tonight here in the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. For all the coverage, go to the Westwood One Sports app. Jason Horowitz, studio host for March Madness on Westwood One Sports, joins us now here on Bleck and Abdalla. Jason, looking back at last night's action, were you surprised that Arizona took care of their business the way they did against Arkansas?
Not that they won, and not that they were as good offensively as they were, because they have been that good offensively all year, and they don't rely on the three-point shot, and they only took 8. And the other part to that is that John Calipari has said all season that Arkansas is awful defensively. So I did think you got both of those things at the same time. I'm surprised that Arkansas was down by 15 to 20 for most of the second half, and it stayed that way. And then, you know, you had the technical fouls and the flagrants and kind of added to the game getting away from them. But, guys, Arizona's been really good all year. And, part of it is I think we've known that. They were number one for most of the year, led by freshmen. Both of their top two scorers are freshmen, and they both were over 20 last night. And they're really impressive. But we're in this era of college basketball where it's threes and layups, and Arizona doesn't live by that rule. In fact, they're the opposite of that, and it's working really well. And it'll be interesting to see when they play Purdue, because Purdue also does not rely on the three. They only hit 4 last night.
Jason, I think a team that people were surprised by last night was Houston, and the way that they lost, not that they lost, but the way that they lost, was that Illinois playing really well or Houston just having an off night and not showing up offensively?
I think both. One of the things that last year that, a lot was made this year about Houston's backcourt almost being better, because Kingston Fleming is going to be a lottery pick as a freshman, and Manuel Sharp, now he's out of his college career, but last night he was the active scoring leader among current college players within tournament points. And you throw all that together, you got a great backcourt, and we say guards win in March. But when they got stuck last year, they had an interior presence in Juwan Roberts that they could try and get out of things. And they don't have that this year. And that was their bugaboo in the middle of the season. It came up last night. And Illinois is just so big, guys. I didn't have an Illinois game in person this year, but did last year, and they're a little bit different, but kind of the same idea. Like, they are just so long, so athletic, so European, and it really works for them. And you start to see it, and I think they're a lot better defensively than we've given them credit for. And obviously, when you're playing a 9 seed in the Big Ten, when they'll get to the Elite Eight, they're going to be favored to get to their first Final Four in 21 years tomorrow.
Jason Horowitz on the phone with Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Jason, help us settle a debate. We keep going back and forth on whether or not Iowa is a Cinderella. I don't think that they are. I think when you're a part of a big boy conference, it's a nice run. It's great. People can get behind it, but you're not a Cinderella if you're a part of the Big Ten. What do you think?
So I think Iowa is not a Cinderella. I do think Nebraska was and is, and it's crazy to say that because they're a 4 seed. We had this stat last night in the beginning of the broadcast, that thanks to CBS Research for this, but Nebraska, had they won last night, would have joined these 3 schools as the only school since 2000 to get to an Elite Eight when entering that tournament, having never won a tournament game. And the 3 schools are George Mason, St. Atlantic. And if you're joining those 3 schools, right, 3 schools where people are saying, hey, what city and state are you located in? Then you're kind of a Cinderella. So I think, multiple things can be true at the same time. You can not be a Cinderella because you're from a power conference and you play in the Citrus year, like Iowa, in football, and you can't be a Cinderella like that. But your history tells you that you don't have this big basketball history like Nebraska. But Iowa does. They've been to a Final Four. They've had players of the year. Dr. Tom Davis is historical. So I don't think Iowa's Cinderella. I do think Nebraska would have been Cinderella.
When you look at Texas and
Is that a cop-out answer, guys?
No, I think it's a good answer.
No, we were just kind of discussing, like, do we have to, with like NIL and the way things have gone the past couple of years in the tournament, do we have to kind of reshape our idea of what a Cinderella is? And like, you're going to get 11 seeds and like 9 seeds are like the lowest seeds you're going to get in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I think that's a fair question. I still think it's too early to tell. I think our world of NIL and transfer portal and things like that are still evolving, and who knows what's coming down as we move forward, because it's really only been 2 tournaments like this, but it's back-to-back years that the Sweet 16 does not have a single school from outside of a power, we'll call it 5 when you throw the Big East in there, a Power 5 conference, and you've never had back-to-back Sweet 16s where period ever. You've never had a Sweet 16 until last year, where all 16 teams were power conference schools, and now we've had back-to-back. And so I do think that's fair. The fact that we've had 19, actually more than that now with the games last night, you've had 20 games decided by 20 points or more. That's a tournament record. That's not a great thing either. So I do think we're heading in that direction, and we may have to define moving forward what a Cinderella is differently. But I think if, you could change Iowa for a different team that you'd call a 9. Who else would have been a 9 seed this year? Who else was in an 8-9 game that's a power conference team that would never be a Cinderella? Or like UConn last year. right? UConn last year was an 8-9 game, and had they made, a Sweet 16, of course not. They're not a Cinderella. They'd won the national championship in back-to-back years. So I think everyone's going to be described differently, but I think it's fair to ask that question.
Jason Horowitz from Westwood One Sports. He'll have your studio coverage tonight of the Sweet 16. And Jason, as we set our sights on this evening's games, the marquee matchup to me is the first game that we will have here on Westwood One Sports. St. John's, Duke, East Region. What do you think takes place tonight between these two teams?
First of all, Caleb Foster's availability. And I haven't seen anything in the last couple hours unless anything has changed. But there's a hope that he plays. Now, how well does he play? How much can he play? But when you're taking on a St. John's team that made Kansas look like they'd never inbound a basketball before, I think having your point guard is a big deal. And Caden Boozer's playing really well in the backcourt, so you have both those guys together. I think that would be a really big deal. But St. John's defensively, it's just really remarkable to watch. And I do think they have a guy, Zuby Ejiofor is a guy that can make Cameron Boozer maybe seem not like the number 2 pick or 3 pick in the draft. I think it's something that is going to be fun to watch. I do think it's the marquee matchup of the night. And John Shire's doing things that in the first 4 years of a college basketball career are historic on his own right. Obviously, going up against a guy in Rick Pitino, who's a Hall of Famer, makes it even more enjoyable to get ready for that game.
The next matchup is Alabama and Michigan. Aiden Holloway has actually been cleared to travel with the team, so he's going to be in Chicago for the matchup. Don't know if he's going to be able to play, but Alabama and Michigan. Michigan's a 10-point favorite. They've been playing outstanding. They've had a pretty easy run, though. Should they get past Alabama, who's going to be their toughest test? It's probably going to be Iowa State should they get Tennessee, correct?
Yeah. Well, yes, and Josh Jefferson's an X factor, right? Whether or not he's able to have the outside chance of playing as well. I want to go back to the Aiden Holloway thing for a second. Obviously, there's legal implications, and who knows how they are handling this on the inside. But do remember, 2 years ago, there were players on the team that were involved in a murder. Brandon Miller was part of it. Brandon Miller went on to be an NBA lottery pick, and all those things that he played. Obviously, Aiden Holloway was arrested, part of the legal system as we speak. Nate Oates has, I think, approached it correctly in how he's talked about it. The players the same way. People make mistakes. Obviously, there's different levels to the mistakes you make, and they have been supporting him because I do think that's the right way for them to approach that. But we're also talking about the same team that has been playing a guy and fighting the legal system with Charles Bediako all throughout the last couple months. Very different, right? Not charged with drug possession or intent to sell, but also being like, we're going to fight the courts on this and see what happens. So I don't know that anyone would really be surprised if he's playing tonight. So there's that part of it. I think Michigan, Alabama is going to look similar to Arizona, Arkansas. I just don't think Alabama on the interior can match up with Mara, Yaxel Lendeborg, and it's going to take Alabama hitting 18 to 23s again to have a chance to win this game.
Michigan State, UConn. Jason, how do you see this game playing out tonight?
So I like Michigan State to the Final Four, and which kind of you're in that group with Duke, St. John's, Michigan State, and UConn. And the funny part about all of that is, had you said to anybody before the tournament started and before you saw a bracket, hey, I like Michigan State to get to the Final Four, or I like UConn or Duke, or whatever, you could have picked any of those 4 teams and be like, yep, I can see that. Yep, that's a great pick. And here they all are together, and only one of them is going to get through. But I just, the way that Tom Izzo, first of all, I think you're getting closer to the end. So I think there's a possibility where that Tom Izzo rides this thing off into the sunset and, one last Final Four or maybe one last run at a championship and then calls it a career. So I think there's an outside possibility of that. But they're just so tough, and they are so physically gifted. They are so aggressive. And UConn without a healthy Silas Demery, and their sometimes ability to go into major funks over the last few weeks. I just think Michigan State's the better basketball team.
Chris and I were talking about it, that Iowa State and Tennessee is probably the game we spent the least amount of time previewing, just because Iowa State has looked so good through the first weekend of the tournament that I think most people believe that Iowa State is just going to move on. If Tennessee is going to win, what do they have to do to beat Iowa State tonight?
Jacoby Gillespie. he is, really remarkable player who led Maryland to the Sweet 16 last year, part of that whole Crab 5 thing where the 5 starters scored all their points. And, he's taken that to Tennessee. And his numbers this year level senior point guard. And so when you're dealing with Iowa State's pressure and the guys that are getting after you, and they have, Tamin Lipsey's an Iowa State legend, kid who grew up in Ames, and, what he did last week in the win against Kentucky was just fantastic. So you got those two senior point guards going head to head. But if you're going to win, if you're Tennessee, Gillespie's got to get better, and that means scoring 20 to 25, and that means having 7-8 assists and, 2 turnovers, maybe 3. And if you get that type of performance, the rest of the parts, the size of Okpara and the athleticism of some of their bigs may be able to take over, but you've got to control things from the backcourt, and that falls on the shoulders of Gillespie.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week in Indy for the Final Four, and we'll be listening tonight on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We appreciate it.
All right, look forward to seeing you guys next week. Appreciate it.
There is Jason Horowitz, the studio host for March Madness coverage right here on Westwood One Sports. We'll have all your in-between games, pregame, postgame, and all the coverage from the studio. He does a great job on the broadcast. And the first 2 days of the tournament, I had a lot of fun listening to Jason on the Whip Around Mix channel on the Westwood One Sports app, where he's taking you from all the different regions and sites as the games are happening live. So he does a very good job here on Westwood One Sports, and we appreciate him joining us, and hopefully we'll see him next week.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that pile of notes must look like when you've got all the games going on at the same time. You're like, this game's going on this one, and when you've got that, like, the 5 games or 6 games are going on at the same time, and he's whipping you around to all the different things. It's like Red Zone before there was Red Zone,
When we talk to him next week, I'm sure we'll see him next week at the Final Four. Ask him.
I will.
Because I was thinking the same thing listening last week. Like, man, the amount of prep and like the stuff he had to have had in front of him when that was taking place. You're right. It is like coverage of the Red Zone on TV now. Mm-hmm. On the radio. So it's fantastic. And the games tonight, it all starts St. John's Duke. Make sure you download the Westwood One Sports app. Bleck Abdalla, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. The Iceman is coming for the Iceman. We'll tell you what that's about coming up next.
Tension is at an all-time high. On the way, and good! And we've got your front row seat. Stream all of March Madness on the Westwood One app. It's up, it's down! From your home of the NCAA tournament, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Check out the podcasts of the Bleck and Abdalla Show on Apple, Spotify, and Odyssey. You can also like and subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show. We live stream the show on YouTube each and every day, and you can also find exclusive content right there on the YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you to Stu and Shay for producing today's show of Bleck and Abdalla. We will be back on Monday from noon to 3 Eastern right here on Westwood One Sports. Jim Rome is coming up in about 16 minutes right here on Westwood One Sports. So, Abdalla, this story broke a couple days ago, but it is something that I find interesting as George Gervin is annoyed with Caleb Williams. And why would a Hall of Fame NBA player be annoyed? A Hall of Fame player, a four-time NBA scoring champ, have a problem with Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Well, Caleb Williams, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, tried to file for a trademark patent for Iceman, which the story of this is not Caleb Williams didn't just come up with one day, I'm going to be the Iceman.
Hey, guys.
He started walking around talking about he's the Iceman.
Yeah, he's not Sting.
Some athletes are lame and they come up with their own nicknames.
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy, call me 9. Okay, buddy. Sure. 9th on the depth chart.
Wow.
Got you down. You're welcome. I just thought of that one too. Felt good. This is how it happened. The play-by-play voice of the Chicago Bears, Jeff Joniak, he's the one that started calling Caleb Williams the Iceman because Caleb Williams started using a celebration that someone else already uses after a big play or a touchdown in European soccer.
Yes.
In the Premier League, there's a player named Cole Palmer. plays for Chelsea. He's a striker. He scores goals. After he scores a goal, he does the Iceman celebration. Caleb Williams is lifting that off of Cole Palmer. That's where this started. And Jeff Joniak, voice of the Bears, started calling Caleb Williams the Iceman from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
And that caught fire, right? Like people in Chicago, I guess, are calling Caleb Williams the Iceman. I've never done it. Have you done it?
I've never been face to face with Caleb Williams to call him the Iceman. So no, I don't call him the Iceman.
You have talked to Caleb Williams before.
I have talked to Caleb Williams before, but
it
this
was before he was the Iceman.
This is pre.
That was just Heisman Trophy winner, #1 pick.
Yeah,
Caleb
that was
Williams.
before he even stepped foot on a field as a Chicago Bear. So yeah.
So that's the background, right? Everyone wants to make money off of everything now.
Yes.
So Caleb Williams and his company on March 16th, Caleb Williams Holding Incorporated, filed for trademark applications with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office related to Iceman as the nickname. According to the application, they applied it for goods and services related to the nickname in athletic sporting goods, equipment, water bottles, T-shirts, sweatshirts, jerseys, hats, posters, digital cards, and all kinds of stuff. Well, the Iceman is George Gervin. If you're an NBA fan, if you're someone who knows the history of sports, George Gervin is the Iceman.
Okay.
It's his nickname. He's the guy. He's a Hall of Famer in the NBA. It's his nickname.
Okay.
George Gervin not happy that Caleb is trying to trademark Iceman. And Gervin Interests LLC on March 20th filed their own trademark application for Iceman and Iceman 44, which was the number that George Gervin wore when he played with the San Antonio Spurs, which is retired. The Spurs retired that back in 1987.
Yeah.
So George Gervin, not happy with Caleb Williams trying to steal and snatch the Iceman nickname from him.
Okay. I don't know how to tell George Gervin this, but
yeah, you're gonna tell an NBA Hall of Famer what?
You could have done this. Caleb beat you to the punch, man. Just because you filed for it 4 days later doesn't mean you get it. Dibs. This is dibs. In Chicago.
But no one who's actually calling Caleb Williams Iceman.
People in Chicago.
I don't think so.
Play-by-play man for the Chicago Bears, Jeff Joniak calls him Iceman.
One person.
If you go on Twitter, there was someone from The Athletic that said no one calls him Iceman.
Yeah, and that's true.
His own company, The Athletic, said had a tweet that said the Iceman delivers.
Okay.
People call him.
Back up.
People call him the Iceman.
Outside of content creators
but that's all you need.
For online social clout, who walking the streets of the city of Chicago is saying Iceman? No one is saying Iceman Williams. But no one's saying Caleb Iceman.
That doesn't matter.
People walked around this city, and they still do saying Air Jordan.
That doesn't matter.
That's a nickname that people use. Air. But Michael Jordan. That's a nickname.
I get it. But for Caleb Williams, who is younger, and for people that are going to buy this stuff, who he presumes are younger, who are chronically online, that matters. And George Gervin, who no one has heard from in the last decade plus.
He's online. He's out there online.
Someone was like, hey, man, did you know about this?
Didn't we have the story last week about senior citizens are online more than anyone else?
Someone might have sent him this on Facebook, and he might have seen that. My
George
point
Gervin's
is that,
sitting there doom scrolling.
Like, where's George? Who's buying George Gervin Iceman stuff? Is my point. And
Spurs fans.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not retroing George Gervin Iceman.
They might.
The point is that if this goes before, and Caleb Williams might not even be granted this patent. Like, he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, it's true.
So he might not be granted it, and George Gervin might not be granted it. Drake could be granted it because not Drake Toll in the morning.
Toll?
No, not Drake Toll. No.
6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on
Not Drake
Westwood
Toll.
One Sports.
Not Drake Toll.
He talked about it
Not
today.
Drake Toll. Not Drake Toll. Drake, the rapper.
Oh, the rapper.
Is putting out an album
the
called
recording artist.
Is putting out an album called Iceman, who Caleb Williams is also a big fan of, which is probably why he went with this Iceman thing.
Yes. That's
Could
connecting.
also trademark Iceman if he wanted to and sell things with Iceman on it. Like, this whole thing is just, who cares? Who cares?
Well, George Gervin cares.
Why?
That's why it's a story.
Why?
He's upset that's his nickname.
Why does George Gervin care? Why does 73-year-old...
Here's the quote from the ESPN story. Quote, "I've been the Iceman for 40-something years. I never thought anyone would try and trademark it. He kind of knocked me out the box."
No, he didn't.
End quote.
No, he didn't.
That's
George.
That's the quote from George Gervin.
I'm sorry, George.
The Iceman.
I'm sorry, George.
He's the guy.
Why does 73-year-old George Gervin care that a quarterback for the Chicago Bears but he wasn't making money off of this. This isn't something that he was or is going to make money off of. No one is going to buy, and I also find it very hard to believe that people are going to buy Iceman Caleb Williams stuff anyway, but that's neither here nor there. No one is going to buy
I agree with you on that.
George Gervin Iceman stuff, nor are they probably going to buy Caleb Williams Iceman stuff.
The side thought to that is, think about every athlete now has their own logo, but how many times have you ever seen a common person, a casual person out in society wearing the logo of an athlete that's not like Michael Jordan. or like almost anyone? Like when have you ever seen someone wearing Tom Brady gear?
No, I haven't. Or Tiger's new stuff?
Yeah, I mean, golf, Tiger.
Tiger's new stuff, no. It's too expensive, man.
Well, okay, it's too expensive, but his gear looks okay.
What about, who's the Norman, the Shark? People wear
Greg
that
Norman.
stuff. People wear that stuff all
Greg
the time.
Norman, that was cool gear.
Yeah, people wear that stuff.
My point is, every athlete today has their own logo.
Yeah.
I never see any of that crap anywhere.
No,
Who's wearing any of it?
No one's wearing that stuff. It's for a shoe. You put it on the side of a shoe or the back of a shoe for NBA athletes.
All right, let's try this one more time before we go to Jim Rome. Jim Rome's coming up. We heard this audio on QVC earlier in the week. Do you know what QVC is for those who are younger, under the age of probably 30? It's the Home Shopping Network. You used to watch this on cable television. People would watch and they would call up and they would buy things over the phone. And they would also just call in. Take a listen to this from QVC from earlier in the week.
The submarine I wanted to tell you that I got that peasant blouse with the tassels.
Yes.
And I used to wear the tassels on my pasties. Do you know what pasties are?
Okay.
Do you know what pasties are?
Yes. I'm going to do.
Okay, well, I had tassels on my pasties.
Marianne, I just want to say this. You are my emotional support diva. Okay, you have just made my whole entire day. Mary's walked off. She's dead on the couch.
I'm having therapy with Marianne right now.
Marianne is my sister from another mister.
I have never, Marianne, you made my year.
Tassels. Marianne calls into the QVC shopping network and tells the ladies, because they were talking about tassels on a sweater, that she used to wear tassels on her pasties.
I know that we're trying this. I know that we're trying this again, but I can't stop thinking about PJ Carlson. I can't do it.
I don't know anything about basketball.
Not PJ.
I can't do it.
Oh, we had an audio mishap at
He's
the end of
ruined
the
for me.
last hour. All right, that's it from Bleck Abdalla here this week. Jim Rome and the Jim Rome Show is coming up next here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.